Hello everyone, that manga kid here to do an alternative manga spotlight on Cigarette Girl by Masahiko Matsumoto. Um, this was fantastic. I bought this a little while ago, and I had seen Laura over at Manga Hoarder buy this years ago, and I for whatever reason at the time, like maybe it was the art style on the cover that just like turned me off at the time, and I went, I'm not interested. But then when I was on a kick of buying some more alternative manga a few months back, I went, oh, Cigarette Girl, yeah, no, I'll grab that, and it is so good. This is put out by oh Lord, Top Shelf Publishing, which the only other thing by Top Shelf that I have is the Axe Alternative Manga Collection, which I also love. But that's the only other thing I have by Top Shelf. This is a really nice release. As you can see, it's got kind of this like embossed pattern on the cover, and it's got like a nice kind of chalky feel to it. Really like it's a heavy book for how small it is. The paper quality is nice, and it's just a nice book in general. But the stories, I've never read anything else by Masahiko Matsumoto, but these stories are very interesting. It's a lot of young couples for the most part, or just young people in general, kind of experiencing life. There doesn't seem to be much of a punchline to these stories. They're mostly just snippets of these people's lives, and there's a bit of comedy in there. There's a little bit of like, oh, like these people are, some of them are not very nice people, but it's not like it is. You can see the kind of physical comedy involved, and um, the art is quite interesting and funny just all on its own. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of just snippets of people's lives, and it's kind of interesting to take a peek into them and see what these people are up to. In particular, the last, like, not necessarily half, but the good chunk of the end of it is various short stories following a young woman who is a door to door condom salesman. And so she's trying to sell condoms to people, and it's quite entertaining to watch her try and upsell these condoms to various different people. Um, and yeah, it's very good. And even though it's set, I can't remember exactly when this was set, like when the timeline of this is, but even though you can tell that it's set pretty far in the past, it holds up. Like it doesn't feel antiquated at all, which I enjoyed. And it just, yeah, like these people live in a different time than us, obviously, but it's still entertaining to see a little snippet of their lives. Um, I just enjoyed it. I laughed out loud a few times reading it and kind of chuckled to myself, and um, it was very entertaining. And I really like the art. Like it's quite, the backgrounds and stuff are quite nice as well, and the characters themselves are quite charming looking as well as being ridiculous looking. Um, yeah, I enjoyed it. It's very good, and I highly recommend picking it up if you are interested at all in that kind of thing. Um, it's not action packed. It doesn't make you think too hard, really, which I enjoyed as well. It's kind of a lighthearted alternative manga, which is um, not always the case. Sometimes they're very deep or very disturbing in different ways, and this one's just kind of a lighthearted little slice of life while still being an alternative manga, and being pleasant and um, just funny and good. Uh, yeah, I'm very glad I ended up getting this one because this is one I passed up on a couple of years ago, and it was quite a delight to read. And like I said, beautiful quality book. It's very heavy, and this is tiny, so like it's smaller than a regular sized manga volume. So yeah, and there's also the foreword by Yoshihiro Tatsumi as well. Um, and I think, I don't know if there's an essay. Yeah, there's a foreword, an introduction by Yoshihiro Tatsumi, and then there's a bit of a um, not an essay, but just like a bit more about him as a mangaka in the back as well, which is quite typical for Gekika manga that's published here. You usually get some kind of writing about the mangaka just to get a little more familiar with them and their work and how they influenced um, kind of pop culture and whatnot in Japan at the time. Um, or not pop culture, I guess, but more of the underground culture. But yeah, Cigarette Girl was very, very good and highly, highly recommend reading it. This might actually be a good one to start with if you are just trying to get into alternative manga because it is more lighthearted, it is less disturbing, and just kind of it's more fun and uplifting. And I think that people, even though it's set in Japan and there's a lot of like Japanese isms, um, it is still like I could see this translating well to a North American audience, just in terms of their. It kind of just reminds me of some of the TV shows that we have over here, of just ridiculous daily life kind of things. Yeah, I think this is a good one to start with if you're interested in dipping your toe into alternative manga. If you've read Cigarette Girl, or you are interested in chatting about it, feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for watching.